Good morning, grade 4 students. Mr. Waterman here with today's mathematics lesson on Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. I hope everyone is doing safe and well. Okay, so as you can see, I have my notebook in front of me. I know your notebooks are in school, but you can still follow along. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up to the table of contents. So last week we studied decimals. We began studying tenths and hundredths on page 5. This week we are going to study thousandths. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my title in the table of contents again. Decimals, thousandths. And this is going to be on page number 6. So we'll get this all straightened out when we come back to school. But for now, I'm just going to organize it. I go to page 6 and I write my title again. Decimals, thousandths. DTHS. All right. Now, as always, the first thing I'm going to write is our objective. This is what we are going to learn. So our objective for this lesson is to write decimals for thousandths. Okay. So, just a little more information for you. A whole, this is any whole number, a whole can be divided into 1,000 equal parts called thousandths. I'm going to underline that. It's very important. Okay? Now, the other important thing to remember is that thousandths are even smaller than hundredths, which we learned about in math class last week. Okay? So that's what I've written here, my objective. Write decimals for thousandths. A whole can be divided into 1,000 equal parts called thousandths. And thousandths are even smaller than hundredths. Okay, let's take a look here in our textbook. We're working from pages 544 and 545. Okay, let's look at the models here. These are our place value charts. Okay, you can see the ones column. Then here's the decimal point, and here's the tenths column. So this decimal is 0.1. As a fraction, it's 1/10. And then when we write it in words, we write 1/10. If you come over here to the second one, you can see hundredths. Okay, so we have our ones column again, our decimal point. In the tenths column, we have a 0. And in the hundredths column, we have a 1. Okay? Our decimal is 0.01. Written as a fraction, this is 1 over 100. And then in words, it's 1/100th. Okay? Now, if you look over here in the third column, we have our ones column. We have our decimal point. We have a 0 in the tenths column. We have a 0 in the hundredths column. And we have a 1 in the thousandths column. Our decimal is 0.001. As a fraction, that's 1 over 1,000. 1/1000th. And then in words, it's 1/1000th. Okay? Now, one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write out the examples that we just looked at to keep them in my notebook for future reference. Okay? I'm going to start with 0.1. 1/10. And then in words. This will help us to remember. I'm going to do the same here. 0.01. 1/100th. And then 1/100th. Okay, and then finally, 0.001. 1 over 1,000. And then 1/1000th. Okay, now I'm going to put a star here because this is very important. Decimals that name the same amount are called equivalent decimals. Okay, so I'm going to underline that. Equivalent decimals. They're the same. Here's an example. 0.5, 0.50, and 0.500 are equivalent I almost wrote fractions. Oops, equivalent decimals. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's look at a few other examples here. Let's look down here at this chart. 0 in tenths place. As a fraction, you have 21 over 1,000. As a decimal, you have 0.021. And finally, in words, you have 21 thousandths. We look at B. You have a 0 in the tenths and hundredths places. As a fraction, you have 9 over 1,000. As a decimal, you have 0.009. And in words, you have 9 thousandths. Okay? Let's look at a few examples. This is going to be the practice sheet you're working with this week. You'll have 2 sheets like last week. One is the practice sheet, and then one is going to be your homework sheet, okay? Both of these have been scanned, and you can find them along with this video when you click on the school's site to get your homework for this week, okay? So, for our practice, our directions, it says, for the first part, write each as a decimal, okay? You're going to write each as a decimal. So for number 1, we have 841 over 1,000, okay? So, as a decimal, I'm going to write 0.841. Okay? Let's do another one. Look at number 2. Number 2 is 93 over 1,000. So as a decimal, that would be 0.093. Okay? Now, let's look at what you have to do for the next part. It says, write each in word form. Okay? Write each in word form. So let's look at the first one. 2 over 1,000, right? 2 1,000ths, or 2 thousandths. Okay? So I'm going to write 2, TWO, thousandths, THOUSANDTHS. Okay? So please do that for all of the rest of them. This is good practice for you. Okay? I'll show you one more example here. Let's look at number 11. Okay? 695 thousandths. So again, writing that as a decimal, 0.695. Okay? As you look at your homework sheet, it's very similar. At the top, you have the directions. It says to write each as a decimal, okay? Pay attention to the example in the box, 27 thousandths. Okay? The decimal is 27 thousandths. And then it shows you how it's written as a fraction. 27 thousandths equals 0.027. Okay? For the second part, you're going to write each in word form. Okay? And then the last part, you'll have a problem solving, a word problem. Okay? Please don't forget to show your work over here to the right. That's all for today's mathematics lesson. Okay? Please remember to bring all of your homework back into school with you when we come in next week, if we come in next week, okay? So take care, stay safe, and be well. As for this page, I will have you copy this page into your notebooks when we come back to school, okay? So right now, you don't have to worry about it. If you have any questions, please email me or please email Miss Harris. Have a great day studying, and we will see you all very soon. Bye-bye now.